So in this lesson from Isaiah, we have just indisputably a perfect example of how God holds a culture accountable for how those who are most vulnerable are treated within it. And the symbol of the vulnerable in the prophetic witness, and really throughout the Old Testament and carried into the Gospels, the symbol of the vulnerable, the symbol of the weak, are the widows and the orphans. And that in a sense, there is a condemnation, there is a judgment on those who prey upon the vulnerabilities of others, that use the weakness of others as an opportunity to gain something for themselves, to gain power or control or wealth, whatever that is. And ultimately, as the prophet says, it's a frightening word of the prophet. Where's that money going to go? Where are you going to stick your money when when you've been conquered? And either you're among the slain or you're cowering among the prisoners. Prisoners don't get to carry all their wealth with them to Babylon or to Assyria. You don't get to take it with you. And if we again raise the level of analysis up, that where exile equals death, in a sense, exile equals separation from God and from His love, in a sense, it's a true saying worthy of all men to be received, that there are no luggage racks on a hearse. You can't take it with you. The only thing that we possess is our ability to love one another. The only thing we possess is our capacity for mercy. The only thing that we can give, that in a sense that is within our gift, is forgiveness. And it comes to us from God, and we steward these things. And it's the power of God working through us. That is our true wealth. That is our true power, the power of suffering love, the power of solidarity and mercy. Those are the true things that abide and will sustain us no matter what our circumstances. That since we can be conquered by sickness, we can be, in a sense, overcome by the circumstances of our lives. But even as a prisoner of this world, we can still love. We can still have mercy. We can still forgive. That's the paradox of powerless love. That no matter our circumstances, we can continue to love. And the way the world measures wealth or power or control, those things can all be taken away. And that's what the prophet Isaiah is saying, that all these things that you think are important, all the aristocracy of Judah and Israel, all those things that you think are important can be taken away from you by somebody who's even more important than you are, who's more powerful than you are, who's wealthier, who has better soldiers than you have. But what the weak, what the widows and the orphans have, what all of us who embrace our own vulnerability have, that cannot be taken away, an inheritance that is permanent and eternal, is the capacity to love and a relationship with a God who loves us. That can never be taken away, no matter how far into exile we might go. That is a relationship that we can always claim, and that will bring us home again. A reading from the prophet Isaiah. Wickedness burned like a fire, consuming briars and thorns. It kindled the thickets of the forest, and they swirled upward in a column of smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts, the land was burned, and the people became like fuel for the fire. No one spared another. They gorged on the right, but still were hungry, and they devoured on the left, but were not satisfied. They devoured the flesh of their own kindred. Manasseh devoured Ephraim, and Ephraim Manasseh, and together they were against Judah. For all this his anger has not turned away. His hand is stretched out still. Ah, you who make iniquitous decrees, who write oppressive statutes, to turn aside the needy from justice, and to rob the poor or my people or their right, that widows may be your spoil, and that you may make the orphans your prey. What will you do on the day of punishment, in the calamity that will come from far away? To whom will you flee for help? And where will you leave your wealth so as not to crouch among the prisoners or fall among the slain? For all of this, his anger has not turned away. His hand is stretched out still. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.